Namaste, namaste. Welcome. I am Magick, and today I have a special guest. Please help me welcome all the way from Detroit. It's Detroit, right?
Yep.
Detroit, the Motown Witch. Welcome, sister. Yay! Applause. How you doing, sister?
Groovy, groovy. How are you?
I am good. Thank you so much for coming. For those people who will be watching this broadcast, please tell a little about yourself.
Well,
Who is the Motown Witch?
I am Yvette, also known as the Motown Witch. I have a store here in the city. The store has been active, I think, for like 6 years now. I finally walked away from my 9-to-5 corporate job and did this full time. I used to vend on the weekends. This has been my path pretty much my whole life. So I made it into a business.
That's what's up. That's good. That was actually my next question. Like, how long have you been into the craft? You said your whole life? Is it?
Yeah, I started calling myself a witch when I was like 10.
That's early, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a heavy metal head. So there's a rock magazine that used to be produced here in Michigan. And I used to get that magazine, and in the back of it, I found this article by the Frosts, so Gavin and Yvonne, I think their names were Frost. And it was about Wicca. Yeah. And my grandmother let me fill out the money order for the information. And I sent forward and I started reading the stuff. And just the herbs and the earth and the natural stuff, that stuff spoke to me, but the deities did not. So I took what I took and left the rest.
You know, that's very interesting that you say that, because those names always ring out to me, because I'm a reader. I'm an avid reader. Been reading a long time. And I can't remember what I was reading and when I came across those two names. It was either How to Win Friends and Influence People, or was something else with their names on it. I couldn't afford to join up what you're talking about, but I do remember that. And I was like 12, 13 years old. So
yeah.
That is crazy. That is crazy. So you've been a witch your whole life.
That's when I started calling myself that then, and my grandmother was from the South, was from Alabama. So I spent all my summers on my great grandmother's farm. So, but back then there was no really a name for the stuff. You just went and did the herbs and burned this and did that. And I just followed that. It's in these last, I want to say 20 years that there's these names that go with everything. But back then I didn't have a word for anything. Every once in a while I heard somebody had roots on them. I heard that word, that term. That's the only term I ever really heard.
Okay. So when did you come up with the title Motown Witch? Does it come from being from Detroit? Is that it?
Yes and no. Back in the Yahoo Groups days, I made friends with a chick who called herself New York Witch.
Okay.
And I liked it. And I made that my email address. And the email address stuck as a name. Okay. And people started calling me that. So it stuck.
Okay.
So now it's my trademarked name.
Okay. You said you had a store. How long has your store been open?
This is my second, it's about 6 years.
6 years. Okay. And what is it that you actually sell in your store? Is it just like herbs or candles?
I consider myself a metaphysical store with an African flair. So you know how there's all the different metaphysical stores that are basically Wicca based. I'm the one with the Orisha candles and the Orisha statues and Kendoble things and hollow things, and yeah. So I kind of go that route. I mean, when you walk in my store, there's a veve and altars on the floor, so you can't.
Okay, there's veves on the floor.
Yeah. I have ceremonies here sometimes.
I'm impressed. I am impressed with that. So we got a couple people in the chat. Peace, Sora's Witch. Konami says, "What up, though, Motown Witch?" I think he's from Detroit too. What's up? Peace and blessings. Tosh, Moonfeather, the Il Nana, Portia, S Lady, Cosmic Chaos, Faith, Sasha Fox. It's a lot of people in the chat. So if you have any questions for the Motown Witch, please feel free to ask in the chat, and I will make sure she sees it. Okay. We talked last week briefly. You said that there's a Detroit ball or a hoodoo festival, and you are the founder of that.
Yeah, the Detroit Hoodoo Festival, that's next weekend.
Oh, it's next weekend. Okay.
Yep, that's next weekend. And then the Detroit Witches Ball is in October.
Okay. I keep saying I'm gonna try and make it, but I mean, I am gonna try and make it one of these days down to because I've not heard of a witch's ball anywhere else. Is it just
really?
Yeah. I've heard of them, but I didn't never know anyone who actually attended. You see what I'm saying?
The Pagan Society here, the others, they have had one for years.
Okay.
And Detroit is kind of racially segregated.
Is it?
Yeah, very much so. 8 Mile is like the dividing line. So the suburbs is where most people of color try to avoid because of the racial profiling and such that would happen. So over the years, I want to say like the last 25 years or so, I would go to the witches ball that they would give. And at one point, I was the only person of color. Then over the years, it got a little bit more colorful, but there's so many people who aren't comfortable going. So this is my 3rd year. So 3 years ago, I decided, well, let me do my own. Actually, the event planner at the hotel, when I was doing the Hoodoo Festival, I had talked and he says, oh, you should do it. And I'm like, I can't do it. And I did it and it was good.
Okay. I don't know why I'm so surprised that Detroit is racially segregated. I didn't know that. Yeah. So being a witch in such an urban area, does that you find any challenges or anything like that, or strange looks or anything?
I have people who come in here and pray, people who throw strange things at my front door. One lady came in and stood at my counter and boom shakalaka should have bought 100 me. And I told her right back at you. She said, well, I'm bathed in the blood. And I said, ooh, that sounds disturbing. So she left.
That's good. You can laugh about it though.
I grew up in a Polish neighborhood surrounded by, one side of me was Polish, the other side was Bulgarian and Albanian. So I've listened to all these different societies have their own folk magic system. So, but I've always been the different one. I've just always been different. That's why I can laugh at it all. That's probably why I'm goofy, because it's like, whatever.
Yeah. You get that way at a certain point, right?
I've been this way for a long time. I mean, I grew up in, back in the day with the, Lord, of course, I have a mail delivery now. I grew up back in the day with the being me in a Polish neighborhood where the Black kids ostracized me and didn't like me because they grew up on another side of town. So I'm made to feel a certain way because I live here. And of course, I'm different because all my friends in the neighborhood are going to their Polish dance classes and such. And all I can do is sit on the porch and read a book because my dad didn't let me go nowhere, no way. So, yeah. So I've always been different.
Okay. And you embrace that difference. That's what I'm talking about.
Definitely.
That's what I'm talking about. So did you go into Wicca itself, or
it didn't speak to me?
Wicca never spoke to you? That's crazy, because not crazy, but I was in Wicca for 10 years before I branched out. So what actually did speak to you? The hoodoo?
Because there was no real name for hoodoo back then, I didn't even look at that as what it was. That's just how we lived. That's just how my grandmother lived, with washing the porch and doing the way she did things. So I didn't even look at that as a path. I just considered myself me. I used to tell people I believe in Yvette. And that's kind of how that went until I came across a Babalawo, about 20 years ago. No, I can go back further than that. About 25 years ago, I was a high priestess in a Kemetic temple.
Okay. Okay.
And I started there with them guys.
I'm sorry, Egyptian.
Huh?
I'm sorry. When you say Kemetic, I say African. I meant to say Egyptian. Is that correct?
No, that's African. Same difference.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm not going to do a political thing, but but yeah. So that's where that started. And then I met a Babalawo, and it went from there. And then I discovered a mambo and started doing trips to Haiti, and like, hey, I like this better.
So you're initiated?
No.
You're not initiated. Okay.
Now the human factor always pisses me off. So
can you elaborate on that?
The human factor with people, priestesses or whatever, who, no matter who they are, Ugans, Mambos, there's this human factor where, God, I got to try to, do I have to watch my mouth?
No, absolutely.
Okay. It's always a whose dick is bigger. It pisses me off.
Right.
I can't do that because we're all human. So no, I'm not going to bow at your fucking feet because you shouldn't piss just like I do. No, we're not going to do that. So that human factor always rubs me wrong. It's just like the people that come in here. I have these young folks. They want me to call myself. They want to like elevate me. And it's like, no, you can come in and talk to me like any other person. No, I'm not looking for you to deify me and all this other weird shit.
Very humble. Wow. That's great. Seriously, that is great. It never spoke to me. It did speak to me at first. I did want to get initiated. And then, found out how much money you got to pay, first of all. You got to pay all these thousands of dollars. You got to travel to Haiti or Brazil or somewhere like that. And you fall under a house. So you fall under a hierarchy. And never spoke to me. So, but
I had plans at one point on getting initiated, but I mean, if I do, I do. If I don't, it's no biggie. I have a lot of friends who are Mambos and Ugans. So like I said, I mean, those who want to come to Detroit and do ceremonies, and I have had chickens here in the back and everything. So those who want to do that, that's fine. I facilitate that. I haven't gone that route yet.
Okay. So when you say ceremonies, can you explain what kind of ceremonies?
Like levitats, what was it? My months all run together. I want to say October, November. One of my friends, he was going to initiate 2 godchildren into his house. So you have to do the thing where they got to go into the Javo where they sequestered for so many days. So I have space for that. So I let them do that, and they did it, and we had the whole ceremony and the party afterwards with inviting people from the community.
Okay.
Nice thing. That's how I ended up with babies on the floor.
Okay. So, in your opinion, I think my audience already knows my opinion, but in your opinion, is it initiation necessary? You find it to be a necessary thing?
Yes and no. I think depending on what you're trying to do. Like for myself, I'm not looking for people to follow me, and I'm not trying to teach things that I'm not supposed to teach.
Right.
So I don't see that as a necessary thing. I think that if I were going to try to have godchildren or something like that, then that's it, where the initiation comes into play. But I even know someone who was initiated in Lukumi, and it saved her life. She got a reading, and they told her this illness that she had, and it saved her life.
Okay.
So it depends on the things. I mean, I went through cancer 6 years ago. And one of my friends who's a Palo practitioner and a Lukumi practitioner, he gave me a reading, and he told me a few things to do, and here I am. I'm okay. So
glad to hear that. Glad you're still with us. Glad you beat that. That's interesting. Your answer is one I always give. I'd say that initiation is not necessary, but for some people's paths, it is necessary. If that's the way they need to learn the African traditional religions, then by all means, get initiated. But me, I've always been doing my own thing, and do you find that, I don't know how to word this question, but working with the Loa, do you find was that hard for you for being a non-initiate?
No, I've been talking to dead people and spirits forever.
Dead people.
So, I used to tell, like, my mother is a strict Christian. What is that? What is that? Apostolic.
Apostolic.
So, yeah, my mother ain't really, we haven't, I don't think we've actually spoke or had a decent conversation in 10 years. Because I've always been called a devil forever. But I would see at like 3 and 4 years old, would see the person, but like, y'all don't see that person standing outside the window. And she's like, stop it. And I'm like, no, there's a person. So my grandmother would ask me, what is he wearing? What does he look like? And I would tell her, she'd go, oh girl, that's just so-and-so. He's just watching you. He's protective of you, da 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 da. And so my grandmother would let me know I was okay, but my mother kept on talking about the demon in me. So, she took me to church with her and I saw demons there. Not demons, I saw spirits there. I saw snakes. I saw all kind of stuff. And my father, at that time, when I was growing up, my dad was an atheist. So my dad told her not to take me back. So I got to avoid that whole church thing.
Interesting. Your path is very interesting.
I'm different, I told you.
Yes, I love it though. I love it. Is she Miss LaQuote? No, Donna, this is not Miss LaQuote. This is a guest. This is the Motown Witch. What's going on, Empress KK? Namaste, Katrina. Empress KK says, I've been wanting to go to her shop, but never have the time, but she's going to make time for you soon.
We're open 7 days a week. Come on.
7 days?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What do you think of the new trend of witchery, is what I've been calling it lately? The new TikTok witches and these younger people who not studied. Let me shut up. Go ahead. You can go ahead and answer.
It's a pain in the ass. That's what it is. It's a pain. I don't know whether it's just calling it the new TikTok people or whether it's just this younger generation that never really had to just shut the hell up and listen. Because it's the lack of listening and the lack of actually being quiet long enough to hear. And that's how I end up with so many kids. I got more kids for somebody who only gave birth once. I swear. These kids, they come through and it'd be like, mama, mama, mama. But they call me mama. It's weird because I fuss. And I have to tell sometimes I'm like, shut up, hush. You ask me a question, now hush. And then it becomes a funny thing. But like the little girl who came in, she says, do you have come back to me oil? And I'm like, well, I have come to me oil. She says, no, the thing said I need come back to me oil. And I said, well, that's the same difference. She says, no, I know what I'm talking about. I've been watching YouTube videos for a week. And then her friend says, she's telling the truth. She's been studying all week. And I'm laughing like, oh God, okay, whatever.
Did y'all hear what she said, y'all? Y'all heard what she said? 1 week, and she thought she was a pastor. She knew what she was talking about.
And wanted to argue with me. She argued me down about this come back to me oil. And I said, well, I can make a whole nother bottle and just put come back to me. It's just one, I mean, dude. So yeah, that's my whole issue. It's that whole thing of coming up with all of this stuff. And it's a money grab. It can be. And I can make so much more money if I can just blow smoke up people's asses. I can't do that. So
is there a reason?
Is
there a reason that you can't do that?
It ain't that serious.
Right. It doesn't appeal to you.
No, it's not that serious to just try to take people's money for no reason. And I no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. But see, because there's a lot of people, I'm the same way. I refuse to break people. And a lot of people tell me I should be charging more money for my classes, more money for my spell work, but I'm like, I want to try and make it affordable and, have repeat clients. You see what I'm saying? So maybe it's integrity, having integrity that you have. You genuinely care about people, and you have actual real talents and gifts. I mean, to see dead people, and you're just saying it so nonchalantly. Saying it nonchalantly. I mean, that's talent there.
One of my grandsons does it too, though.
Okay,
There's a
so
couple spirits around, huh?
You passed it on then.
Yeah, I think grandson number 3. We were gardening last year, and he was in the front with my husband. I was in the back, and I got whiplash almost because I saw this guy walk into the yard in this blue shirt, and I whipped my head around. And I grabbed my weapon. I got a weapon problem, but I grabbed my weapon, and he just disappeared. I'm like, okay, whatever. And I went back to doing what I was doing. And then here comes Jeremiah going, Grandma, did you see the man in the blue shirt? I was like, yeah. So, yeah.
So this goes beyond, I'm sorry to stay on this subject so long, but this goes beyond seeing something out the corner of your eye. You're doing it like the movies, like actually seeing people. And that's just, to you, is normal.
I mean, this has been forever. So yeah. Some people I can identify, some people I can't. There's the people who call themselves working me, and I one of the persons, I saw them clear as day in my dining room one day, and I'm like, really, this is what we're doing? So yeah.
They astral projected to you?
Yeah.
Wow. How'd that go? I'm curious.
When I say really, this is what we're doing, they went away. But then it kind of solidified what I already felt about this person trying to work at me. So she got hers.
Okay.
Absolutely. I don't bother anybody. It's amazing the people who are constantly trying to throw at me and accuse me of things. I am here still at the store right now. When I leave here, I'm going home. If I'm not here, I'm home. I don't bother people.
Do you think there's a reason for that? Because I've had this for the longest time, people just wanting to throw at me, and I'm like, why? But I don't bother anyone either. And I see that this is a trend, people just actually wanting to try people. I don't get that. Do you have any answer for that? Why is that happening?
In the words of my grandmother, when I used to complain to her about this in my younger days, was fuck them bitches, they just jealous.
Right.
Those are her words. That's Louise Bellamy at her finest.
Absolutely.
I mean, honestly, that's all I could, because it's like, okay, so I think many people are discontented with themselves. So they have an issue with anyone who's comfortable in their skin and just doing their thing. So you can stay and just walk your path, normal, stay steady the course. And there's somebody over here going, well, who the hell do they think they are doing that? That's just goofy to me. But you're the miserable heifer. I'm not. We're good.
Oh, Katrina says that she's Konami says next time he's home, he's gonna be at your store. Katrina says she follows you on Instagram. Okay. Cosmic Chaos says you have amazing energy.
Okay.
I agree. Peace, Brother Moore. There is, you just wouldn't think that, is there a big, I know this kind of ties in the question I asked you earlier. Is there a big, I hate to say the word black, but is there a big black witch community in Detroit? Melanated, copper colored people in Detroit. Take your time.
Oh, I don't know how to answer that anyways. I
don't know how to word it. I really didn't.
It's cool. Detroit is so strange isn't the word, because there's a huge Christian community where when you meet someone, the first question is, what church do you belong to? So you're like categorized by the church you go to. There's that community. Then there's like the conscious community slash this what's turned into a little hippie community type situation. I don't know if they call themselves witches per se, but there's this big movement here with the natural eating, natural hair, farming, and that whole thing. So I get a lot of those guys.
Okay. Are you near? I know you're in Detroit, but are you near like the Nation of Islam? Is that near you, or it's in Chicago? Am I thinking Chicago?
You're thinking Chicago. Although I think the original one was here, where Malcolm X first started, was here.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Okay.
And I mean, it's not too far from here. It's probably around 7 or 8 miles from the store.
Okay. That didn't speak to you either.
That whole Muslim thing? Oh no.
I can tell by the way your face went when I asked the question.
I have a problem following rules. That's my whole issue with all of it. I've never been a rule follower. In high school, I was in the in high school, I was the honor roll student that skipped a lot. I was in vocational business. They looked at me for the National Honor Society, but decided against it because I didn't follow rules. I didn't come to school dressed in business attire. I wore my Van Halen t-shirts and motorcycle jackets. I didn't care.
Wow. It's amazing, our paths are similar. I was in the military and I got out because I couldn't see myself following rules for that long. Because the fact that I always say this, that the fact that I gotta follow their orders, and I know for a fact that they're incompetent, but because they outranked me, I had a problem with that. You know what I mean? It seems like people on this particular path, they are the ones that's called rebellious or black sheeps or different or weird, yeah, but I embrace it. I'm glad you do too. How long have you been growing your locks? I see you got locks. Has it been a long time?
A week before 9/11 happened.
So that is 22 years?
Yeah, something like that. I lost a lot of them when I went through that whole chemo thing. So my hair thinned out a lot, and that whole wonderful woman menopause mess, but I keep saying I'm going to cut my hair back off, but the thought of sitting in a salon grosses me out. I can't do it.
Okay. All right, let's see what we got in the chat here. Wow, Sister Moonfeather said we look like brother and sister.
My daddy's name is George, so I don't know.
No, I ain't got no kids out here. No. Let's see. Greetings, Nefertiti. Cosmic Chaos is asking, do you have a YouTube channel? I believe you do have an actual podcast. Is that correct?
Motown Witch. I have a YouTube channel, Motown Witch. Everything I have is Motown Witch, Instagram and everything. The podcast thingy, yeah, it's just me and one of my, actually she's one of my readers. I would like to spend the time talking to more witchy people.
Yeah.
It's kind of difficult because I think the whole thing started with my YouTube channel with Coffee with a Crone.
Coffee with a Crone.
Yeah, that's how it started. And I would talk to several women in my inner circle about, their path, how they started. And the Coffee with a Crone turned into a Motown Witch After Dark, which is something that we do here on Friday nights.
Okay.
So, yeah, things just morph and do what they do.
Evolve, right?
They just do what they. I mean, Friday night ended up me and one person. It started with me and her having drinks after I closed the store on Fridays. Then it turned into whatever chick needed to come by and vent or whatever would bring a bottle, and next thing you know, it's a thing.
It's a thing. You know how we do. It's a thing.
It's a thing.
So, are you the crone when you say that? Coffee with a Crone?
Most definitely.
You're a crone? Okay.
Most definitely.
All right. And so it's just you and another witchy person just talking about witchcraft and stuff.
Talk about their path. I have a couple people who came out of the church, so they talk about that journey because I have no clue about that journey. So that those kind of things and what it's like to walk this way in the world the way that it is. Right. I mean, over the years I've had a challenge. Like when I worked for law firms, it was always that they had a whole prayer circle for me for like a month. So.
And it's amazing that a lot of people don't realize, well, they don't realize, but they find it kind of strange and weird that I grew up Catholic, totally Catholic, went to Catholic church. I was so dedicated to the church. I wanted to be a priest. I was an altar boy. I would, before school in the morning, I go to church. Yeah, I did all that. I did. I see the way you're looking at me. I said, yeah, I did all that. And to end up here.
Well, you get the inner workings of it, though. I think that whole, from what I'm understanding from the people that I've talked to that left the church, I think that all of that regimentation and the Bible and all that stuff just leads you to it if you actually pay attention. Right.
What a lot of people still don't understand about Catholicism is that it absorbed pagan cults. So a lot of the stuff comes from pagan or has pagan origins. Like you would consider Virgin Mary. They worship Mary more than anybody. That would be Ishtar in Sumerian or Babylonian. You know what I mean? So a lot of the customs that they do, they absorb the pagan cults. So
how many people were mad at me when Pope John Paul died? They had him all laid out, and I pointed out that this was a whole comedic outfit, and the and the whole ceremony. They were mad at me.
You didn't care, though, right?
No, they'd be all right or not.
I think we have a question in the. What is your sign?
Aries.
Aries. My mother's an Aries.
When's her birthday?
April 10th.
Okay, April 18th.
April 18th. Okay, you're almost on the cusp.
I was born on an Easter Sunday.
Wow. That's crazy.
My mother tells people she gave birth to the Antichrist on Easter Sunday.
I would have kind of figured you for an earth sign, though. I mean, Aries are kind of really bossy people, right?
I'm told I'm bossy all the time.
All the time? Okay.
I said, do it my way, and we won't have no problems.
All right. Cosmic Chaos asks, do you create music?
I hang with a lot of musicians.
Do you?
I've been hanging with musicians since I was 16, 15. Yeah. I'm always with a bunch of musicians.
Because is Motown still like there? Like,
Well, not really. I mean, the museum is there. The original Motown studio is there, and it's the Motown Museum now. But there's still a lot of music around here.
Where they shot the Temptations, that's what you're talking about?
Okay. The outside of the Motown.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a museum now. You can go through there and take a tour and everything. But I mean, like, I guess in the 80s particularly, the live music scene here was phenomenal. Okay. And like I said, I'm a metalhead, so the rock bars were off the chain during those years. So there's always live music happening.
Did you like the Spinners?
Yes, Jesse's one of my friends, one of the guys in the Spinners now.
Okay. Yeah. Grew up with that music. Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, my dad was Motown, of course. My dad is yeah. I grew up listening to the stories of, back when Motown first started and Temptations singing here and Diana Ross being this, that, and the other. I grew up with all those stories. Okay. So, but there's always music. I mean, like Larry from the Floaters was one of my cousins, and that kind of stuff.
Okay. You have a musical background. But that's interesting though that you actually like heavy metal.
Yeah.
The old like AC/DC, like that kind of, and Metallica.
I have AC/DC import albums before they were on sale here in the States.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Embrace your differences.
Most definitely. But I listen to everything though. And I've been a belly dancer for the last 20 some years. In fact, we got a performance Saturday. So
now that is something I was going to bring up. I wanted you to kind of speak on that. I have not met a single sister who was into belly dancing.
Really?
Really? Seriously?
There used to be a whole society in Washington, D.C.
of belly dancers?
Yeah. Sunyata Amin used to do BOCA, which was Belly Dancers of Color Association. And every year we had a whole big weekend conference and everything.
You've been doing that for a long time, belly dance?
Since my son was 15. So that's 21 years.
That's a lot of cardio, huh?
Well, it's a lot of, I started doing it so I wouldn't kill my teenager.
Okay.
I had to have a release.
Okay, so belly dance was your release.
It was my release. So this movement, it's not really well, I was a Zumba instructor for a while now. That was cardio.
Okay.
But Zumba, belly dance is more, I want to say it helps you get into your femininity.
Really?
I've never been a girly girl. So that's as girly as I'm going to get is when I do that. Because I've never been a real girly girl.
Okay. Do you offer like classes for that? Or
I don't have time to do anything else. Nope, there's no time. I am talking one of my friends into trying to, because I have an event space 2 doors up the street. So I'm trying to talk her into doing some classes now.
So, do you offer any classes at all?
Me, personally? No.
Okay.
I am stretched thin.
Okay. Do you do spell work?
I don't do as much as I used to. I don't do as much. I don't have the time. This store has taken on a life of its own. It expanded so fast. And because I have a mail order. Totally, I have a mail order business as well. So everything in the store is also online, Motownwitch.com. So I'm here at least 3 hours early because I also make some of the stuff here, like the loaded candles, the spiritual baths. I have my own line of Florida water. So I get here early to do those things and to do the mail orders for the day. Yeah.
Yeah, you sound very, very busy.
And then I'm active with 5 grandsons. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Cosmic Chaos again says, I bet belly dances raises the Kundalini.
Yes. A good story is several years ago, we started a troupe, me and 2 other sisters. And the thing was, all 3 of us had locks, all 3 of us loved rock music. So we would belly dance to rock music. It was a beautiful thing.
I'm trying to picture that because I actually like rock music, like the old 80s rock music.
We did more like Godsmack.
Godsmack. Okay.
We danced to stuff like that. And we would go out we were invited to this thing that's like 30 miles outside of Detroit, or we were the only people there of color. And they were the lady afterwards says, "Oh my God, I thought you guys were going to conjure up something."
Wow. Okay.
It's fun. Okay, even when I did it with the live snakes, I did do it with the snakes for a little while.
You did belly dancing with the live snakes?
Yeah.
Like Salma Hayek did in From Dusk Till Dawn?
I don't think I saw that.
Okay. Not a movie watcher.
Nah, I can't sit still that long.
You sound like you're just like constantly on the go.
And you don't see me sitting here beating on this notebook in my lap right now. I'm a hyper person.
You drink a lot of coffee?
Coffee calms me down. I can go to sleep when I drink coffee. I drank some cranberry juice. That's my problem right now. Yeah.
Cranberry juice.
My body is backwards.
Okay.
It's totally backwards. Yeah, but it was just small baby boas, that just wrapped around my arm. It was nice.
Can I ask what are you wearing on your? Are those particular crystals? I
But the
think it's one
rings,
of those Jasper.
this was a local young man made this. It's red something. I forgot.
Okay.
A skull and a spider.
We have that in common. I love skulls. I guess it has something to do with the craft.
I guess between that and my years in motorcycle world, I suppose. I don't know.
So you was also a biker.
I was biker friendly.
Biker friendly. I like the way you put that. Biker friendly.
Yeah.
That is a good word.
That was what I wanted to do when I was a little kid. When you're like 7 or 8 years old and people ask you what you want to do, and you get 7 or 8 years old, that's like, for me, it's like the early 70s. Mm-hmm. And that girl was on television. I come from a neighborhood where all the mothers stayed at home all day. The dads all went to work and the mothers were home. So seeing that girl and seeing that this girl left every day and went to work downtown, she gets downtown and she throws her hat in the air. And I'm like, that's what I want to do. So my cousin got me hooked on Harleys. So, because down south, he had a Harley and we would go drive through the, dirt roads on the Harley. So I'm like, I want to drive my motorcycle to work and I'm going to be a secretary. And that's exactly what I ended up doing. I ended up being an assistant for years and I was biker friendly.
Okay. Thanks for sharing that with us. Back to spirituality. Mm-hmm. If you had to say what your practice is, what would you call you still wouldn't give it a name? You're just like, would you call yourself like an eclectic witch or
I'm gonna answer you like I answer the people who come in here and ask me that question.
Okay. Go right ahead.
It's an event thing.
Y'all heard it? It's an event thing. It's an event thing.
I do event. That's it. I do event with a voodoo slam.
Okay. Because for years I went by Wiccan. I was a witch. Wiccan witch. Mm-hmm. Then I became a magician. Then I was a sorcerer. Then I was shadow man. I went through all these titles. And now if someone asks me that question, I just say I am that I am. Period.
That's it.
I embrace it all. Would you do you have a particular like loa that you follow? Not follow, but work with or anything like that?
Probably the Gede. Of course, the Dead.
I'm gonna say that. When you said you was goofy, that's when I was like, she must work. I'm dead serious. Because when I worked with the Gede a lot, I was just really silly all the time. Silly and highly sexual and I
act like my dad. My dad was goofy.
My
dad would lay in the middle of the street and pretend to be a dead roach. He was goofy. He would just do goofy stuff. Yeah. That's what's wrong. And I have his sense of humor. That's what's wrong with me.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with you. Do you own a Harley? Katrina's asking that in the chat.
No, not my own. That was my goal for my 40th birthday. And what did I do? I think I ended up like leaving Detroit, moving to Maryland, moving to DC after that. So it didn't happen.
How was that? How was moving to Maryland and DC?
I moved to the Eastern Shore of Maryland because of a guy. And he was, of course, a musician. But the Eastern Shore is mostly country. It's very country. You walk outside and all you smell is chickens and horses. He played in several bands, and one of those bands was in these churches. So after I moved there, he decided to tell me, well, we can't go further unless you accept Jesus Christ.
What? No, he didn't pull that on you.
Yeah. So I think he thought that would work, and he didn't realize that didn't work until I let him know that I had 2 temp jobs signed up in DC, which was like a 2-hour drive away. And I was gonna be sleeping on this chick's couch that I met until I got my own place. So that was that.
Independent woman you are.
Ain't nobody gonna, I'm not that one.
Let's see. Let's say peace and blessings, elegant granny. Welcome.
Hey.
More says, I don't know if this was asked, but what led you to the occult? I'm not sure if that was your answer, like when you grew up with it, or
that's that pretty much it. This has just always been me.
You found your talents and gifts at an early age, really early age, right?
I guess while I was driving my great grandmother crazy looking for the snakes and being all excited, and driving my mother crazy coming home with the little rattles from the snakes that my uncles killed, and yeah.
Oh wow.
Taking the worms apart, trying to see what'll happen, all kind of weird stuff.
It's not weird though when you think about it. You're being a child, you kind of carved your own path.
I was different from everybody else in my neighborhood. Totally different.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. You said you're married, right? With grandchildren. Okay. Is your husband into the occult?
He just, how can I say this? In the beginning, there was a Bible on his dresser, and now he is initiated in a Shay Shay.
Shay Shay.
A Shay Shay, which is a path in Ifa.
Oh, so it's a path within Ifa.
Yeah. Or it's a different direct. Don't make me lie. It's in there somewhere. You know how like Lakumi and Ifa are very similar? The Shay Shay is another thing there somehow.
And here I thought I studied all of them, but I never heard of that path.
Yeah. I'm friends with a Babalao in that path, and he's one of the few people that I trust. So I had him talk to him, and next thing you know, he's on his own. He's on his journey.
Okay. You mind spelling it for me?
I'm trying to think.
Is it A-S?
Is it I? I think it's I-S-H. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
I let people do their thing. I'm sorry. I know there's a book over there. I think there was a book. I think I sold it. I think it's I-S-H. Yeah, start there.
I'll find it. I-S-H, and then I'll find the rest.
Yeah, it's either I or E, but I want to say it's I. I might be wrong.
Do you find that having a spouse in the occult, does it make life easier for you? I mean, because for me, my wife doesn't have anything to do with it, and yet still we get along just fine. Does that make it easier for you to do whatever you have to do, or?
I'm gonna sound like a bitch, I know it, but I don't care. I mean, this is not my first husband, so I've never cared. This is me, and I'm gonna let you know who I am, and either you accept it or you don't.
Y'all heard him. You accept it or you don't. Very independent, very Aries. I meant to ask this question earlier. What your hoodoo festival? You're the founder, right?
Yes.
What is it? Do y'all just like trade? No, not trade, but like sell your items, your spiritual items, or what goes on at the hoodoo festival?
There's classes.
Okay.
There's classes. Each presenter teaches a class. That's like an hour to an hour and a half long. This started years ago. Are these people pulling on my door? It says close. This started years ago, and we used to travel to different cities and give these festivals. And one year the guy that I traveled with was like, you should do one in Detroit. And I'm like, I could never do that. Then he told me how to do it, and here we are doing it. So we've done them in New York, in Denver, in Omaha.
Never Texas.
No. I know that before all this fell apart, because there was some internal crap that happened and it all fell apart, that I think Duchess is in Mesquite, Texas. That's the only person I know that, but I don't even know where that is. I mean, I've been to Dallas, Houston, and Galveston, and Killeen, of course, because I was married to a military person at once.
Wow. Killeen.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
That's where you are?
Yeah.
I've been there because he was in the military.
Okay. Okay. I lost my thought. Jesus. Because I had like the did you say Duchess? Like Lady Duchess?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I didn't know y'all knew each other. Okay. I'm
I
not
don't know her like that. No, she wasn't not a part of it. I know she came along at the end of it and made friends with certain people. We didn't get that far for her to be, but she did some things at her store with those people, but it wasn't our Hoodoo Festival type situation.
Okay. So here I am. I had the impression that at the festival is like I don't want to, minimize what you do, but I just had the impression of like a flea market kind of selling.
Oh, there's a bazaar. Now I have vendors. But there's a bazaar part. I have a room. I use one of the hotels, one of the Hilton Garden Inns, and the ballroom part is all the vendors. I mean, the classes take place there. And then there's a room to the side where the vendors are. So for this one, I have 22 vendors.
Okay. Wow.
And they sell witchy wares, shea butter, sea moss. Somebody's bringing mushroom elixirs.
Okay. Sounds like fun. I gotta make it there one day.
It's a good time. You should come, or at least come to the ball.
I want to. I mean, I think I don't know. Forgive me for saying this, but when I think of Detroit ball, all I can think of, because I'm goofy as shit, is the Players Ball. That's all I can think of. I don't mean to think that, but that's what I'll be thinking.
Well, you can dress like that if you want to. We won't. No shade.
No. But I am going to try and make it one.
I'm gonna start putting the flyers up for the Witches Ball next weekend. So there you go.
Okay.
Stay at the hotel, get your discounted rate at the hotel. I have people come from Atlanta and everywhere to come to this.
And how long is it? Is it like a day or so, or
it's just a day for the ball. The morning time from like like 10 to like 3, I think, is the bazaar, and I have like 75 vendors, the whole room full of vendors, and you can shop, do all this stuff, get readings, whatever, and then the room is transformed into the banquet hall later, and then the ball happens. You have the DJ. It's nice to see everybody dressed up and having a good time. So for the price of the ticket, you get your dinner and unlimited drinks.
Is there a dress code?
Oh, well, it's formal.
Oh, it's formal. Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
Formal. It's a formal ball. It's just given by the witches. Okay.
All right.
So, but it's a good time. The first year, it was beautiful. And it was so funny to me that so many young people were asking me what was black tie. They did not know what it was. Wow. So, and it was nice to see everyone come out dressed up and have a good time with no BS.
That sounds like fun.
And I encourage those that like to drink to take advantage of the discounted room so they don't drink and drive and stay at the hotel.
Good. Okay. All right. I would like to thank you for coming to join me. I really enjoyed this in-depth interview with you.
Thank you.
Hopefully one day you may come back and we can chat again, if you're up for that. And
no worries.
Before we go, Let me just say, all of the Motown Witch's information, if you want to contact her, is going to be in the description box below. Okay. Again, I thank her for joining me today, and all of you who are viewing at home. Before we get out of here, for someone who's coming into this path of magic,
Mhm.
what would be your advice? Any advice? Any suggestions?
Usually I have them first try to understand how to quiet the mind.
Mhm.
And many times, because they want something in their hands, I give them like the book Jambalaya to just read that. Therefore, you see her journey in the book, you see her journey, and it gives you different ideas on nature and herbs and even African traditions, so
Okay.
that you get an idea, so that now you have something to base what might even speak to you.
Okay.
Because
Why?
I honestly don't know how to tell someone how to start, because I've never had to start. I don't know what that is.
You've been doing it your whole life. I get it. I get it. And once again, thank you so much for joining me. You enjoy the rest of your day. I am Magick LaCroix. That is the Motown Witch, and we'll see y'all next time.